The throne hall of Valora Prime shone like a field of frozen stars. High crystal arches rose into the sky, and the walls reflected blue light as if the entire palace had been carved from ice. Thousands of nobles gathered in silence, their robes glittering with jewels. All of them had come for one reason: to hear the vow of Princess Serenia. Serenia stood at the center of the grand hall. She wore silver armor shaped like the wings of a hawk, and her long dark hair flowed down her shoulders. Her eyes, pale and sharp, looked across her people with calm determination. The air was heavy with expectation, for this was no ordinary ceremony. It was the day Serenia would promise her loyalty to Valora and its ancient traditions. A priest lifted his staff and called for silence. His voice echoed through the hall. Princess Serenia, first daughter of the Emperor, voice of Valora, future bearer of the crown, do you vow to keep your heart pure, your loyalty unbroken, and your hand free of unworthy ties? The nobles lowered their heads, waiting. Everyone knew the hidden meaning. For centuries, the Valorans had distrusted humans. They considered them reckless, emotional, and far too unpredictable to ever be bonded with royal blood. A Valoran princess was not only a daughter but a symbol of purity and strength. She could not be seen as weak, and so Serenia was expected to take the vow that no alien, especially a human, would ever touch her heart. Serenia raised her chin. Her voice was clear and cold. I vow before my people, before the stars, and before the spirit of my ancestors, I shall never give my love to a human. The hall erupted with thunderous applause. Nobles bowed, soldiers struck their chests with fists of steel, and her father, the Emperor, nodded with satisfaction. The vow had been spoken, and Valora's honor was secured. But deep inside, behind the calm mask she wore, Serenia felt a strange unease. She did not know why. Far away on the edge of Valoran space, a human ship glided through the dark. Its captain, Commander Elias Kane, stood on the bridge with arms crossed. His eyes were tired from years of negotiation missions, but there was still a spark of fire in them. He had been sent by Earth's High Command with one task: to build a fragile peace with the Valorans. The mission was dangerous. Humans and Valorans had fought small wars in the past, and trust was nearly impossible to earn. But Elias was known for his stubborn courage. He believed that even the coldest hearts could be reached by honesty. "Sir," said his second officer, "Valoran fleet approaching. They'll escort us to the capital." Elias nodded. He had studied Valoran history for months. Their empire was ancient, proud, and unbending. He had heard rumors of their princess, strong, beautiful, and untouchable. Some whispered she was as cold as the stars themselves. He wondered if those rumors were true. When Elias arrived at the palace, he was brought into the Crystal Hall. Dozens of Valoran nobles glared at him as if he were an intruder in their sacred temple. But Elias walked tall, his uniform neat, his steps steady. He did not bow too low, nor did he stand arrogantly. He carried himself like a man who respected his hosts but feared nothing. At last the great doors opened and Princess Serenia entered. For a moment the hall seemed brighter. Elias saw a figure of grace and strength, her silver armor catching the light, her gaze sharp and distant. Their eyes met only for a second, but that second felt strangely heavy. Serenia felt her chest tighten, though she quickly pushed the feeling aside. The Emperor's voice filled the hall. "Commander Elias Kane, you come here as a messenger of Earth. Speak your purpose." Elias stepped forward. "Your Majesty, my people seek peace. The galaxy grows darker with each year, and unity is our only shield. I am here not as a conqueror, nor as a beggar, but as a man who believes that Valora and Earth may stand stronger together." Whispers filled the hall. Some nobles scoffed, others frowned. Peace with humans was not what they desired. But Serenia watched him closely. His words carried no fear, no lies. He spoke as if his heart truly believed them. That evening, during the formal talks, an unexpected event shattered the calm. A noble stormed into the chamber holding a datapad. His voice rang with accusation. "My Emperor, I bring proof that this human has deceived us. Our defense network was breached the moment his ship entered orbit. I say this man is no diplomat. He is a spy. Gasps spread across the chamber. Eyes turned toward Elias with hatred and suspicion. Guards drew their weapons. The Emperor's face darkened. Serenya's heart pounded. The human's calm expression did not waver, though his future hung by a thread. He spoke firmly. I had no part in this breach. If your systems were compromised, someone wishes to sabotage our talks, not I. The Emperor looked toward Serenya. My daughter, you shall lead the investigation. If the human lies, he will pay the price. Serenya bowed. Yes, father. That night, Serenya walked through the palace gardens alone. The stars glowed above, their light cold and distant just like her vow. But in her heart something stirred. She thought of the human commander's eyes, steady, fearless, and strangely honest. If he was truly guilty, why would he face accusation with such calm? And if he was innocent, who in Valora sought to frame him? Her vow echoed in her mind. I shall never give my love to a human. She had spoken it before her people, and yet in the first day of his arrival, this man had already unsettled her heart. She tightened her fists. Desire was dangerous. Curiosity was dangerous. Yet she could not ignore the storm that had begun. Krieger, Palace of Valora Prime, never slept. Even at night, the crystal towers glowed faintly under the silver moon, and the courtyards buzzed with the voices of nobles plotting, whispering, and watching. But Princess Serenya walked those halls with a restless mind. She had been given a duty: investigate the human commander. Find the truth. Expose him or clear his name. Yet her thoughts were troubled. Commander Elias Kane had not looked like a liar. His words carried a weight that even the cleverest nobles often lacked. Serenya remembered his steady eyes when the accusation was thrown at him. He had shown no panic, no excuses, only calm certainty. That calmness unsettled her. She called for her closest guard, a tall soldier named KL. Search the records of the breach, she ordered. Find when and where our defenses were tampered with. Leave no stone unturned. If the human is guilty, I want proof. If he is innocent, I want to know who dares use him as a tool. Kyle bowed and left swiftly. Serenya stood by the balcony, watching the city lights shimmer like distant stars. Her vow echoed in her mind again, never to love a human. Yet already, this single man had forced her to question the certainty of her oath. Meanwhile, Elias was placed under close watch. Guards followed his every step through the palace, and even his quarters were not free of eyes. Still, he did not complain. He spent his hours studying Valoran texts, learning their history and preparing his words for the Emperor. Late one evening, a soft voice startled him. You should not be awake at this hour. He turned. Serenya stood at the doorway, her silver armor replaced by a flowing gown that shimmered faintly under the torchlight. She looked different now, less like a cold statue, more like a woman, burdened with thoughts she could not share. Princess, Elias said, standing quickly, I did not expect. I am not here for pleasantries, Serenya interrupted, her tone sharp but her eyes curious. I must know the truth. Did you tamper with our defenses? Elias met her gaze. No. My mission is peace, not sabotage. Someone wants this alliance to fail. If you condemn me, you will be serving their purpose. Serenya studied his face for a long moment. Every instinct told her he was not lying. His voice held no tremor. His eyes carried no shadow of guilt. Against her vow, she felt something she did not want to name. Trust. Then help me, she said softly. If I search alone, they will call me blind. But if you see what I see, perhaps we will find the truth. For the first time, Elias allowed, a faint smile. Then let us search together. Over the next days, Serenya and Elias met in secret corners of the palace. They studied records, traced energy patterns of the breach, and followed hidden clues through the archives. Their conversations began with duty, but slowly, Small pieces of their hearts slipped into the silence between them. Elias told her of Earth's wars, of the families broken by endless conflict. "I am tired of seeing graves filled," he admitted. "I came here because I believe peace is worth every risk." Serenia listened quietly. No noble of Valora had ever spoken with such honesty. She found herself asking questions she had never asked before. Do humans fear death as we do? Do they dream of stars they cannot reach? Elias chuckled softly. "We fear, yes, but fear does not stop us. Sometimes it pushes us to act. And as for dreams, humans are made of them. Even when the stars burn cold, we dream of warmth." Her heart trembled. His words were unlike the calculated speeches of Valoran nobles. They were raw, simple, and alive. She should have dismissed them. Instead, she carried them with her long after they parted. One night, during the Festival of Moons, Serenia and Elias were forced to stand, side by side in the grand courtyard. The celebration was filled with music, glowing lanterns, and parades of warriors. Serenia wore her ceremonial crown, while Elias stood tall in his human uniform. The crowd watched them with suspicion, whispers floating like smoke. As fireworks lit the sky, a sudden shadow moved through the crowd. Serenia's instincts sharpened. She saw a glimmer of metal, too sharp, too quick. An assassin raised a hide. The palace of Valora Prime was alive with whispers. After the Festival of Moons, the hall seemed smaller, crowded with eyes that watched every movement of Princess Serenia. The nobles talked in hushed tones, some praising Commander Elias Kane for his courage, others warning of the danger of trusting a human. But Serenia could hear none of it. Her mind was filled with questions she could not speak aloud. She moved through the crystal corridors, her silver boots clicking against the polished floor. Every shadow seemed to follow her, every glance from a noble a reminder of her duty. She had always been careful, always measured, always in control. Yet now, control slipped through her fingers like stardust. In the quiet of the royal library, she found herself standing before the tall, broad shoulders of Elias Kane. He was studying Valoran history again, his brow furrowed in concentration. She had walked these halls many times, but never had she felt such a pull toward another being. "Princess," Elias said without looking up, "you returned to the library even after the warnings?" "I do not seek danger," she replied, though her voice betrayed a faint tremor. "I seek the truth." He finally looked at her, and for a brief moment, the calm human gaze met the storm in her own eyes. It was an unspoken acknowledgement. They were bound together if only by the necessity of uncovering the sabotage. "Then we work together," he said softly. "We cannot allow lies to divide our worlds." Their investigation grew closer. They pored over data records, traced encrypted messages, and compared security logs. Each discovery brought them not only closer to the truth but closer to each other. Serenia began to see beyond the human's uniform, beyond the cold diplomacy, and into a heart that valued courage, honor, and honesty. And Elias began to see her, not as a princess bound by duty, but as a woman capable of strength, intellect, and quiet vulnerability. One night, while examining the security grids, Serenia noticed an anomaly. "Look here," she said, pointing to a series of breached codes that led to a council chamber. The attack did not come from outside. It came from someone within Valora. Elias leaned closer, his shoulder brushing hers. "Then our enemy is not me nor the humans," he said quietly. "It is someone who fears peace." Serenia felt her chest tighten. His words were simple, but the calm certainty beneath them made her heart race. For the first time, she wondered if her vow had been too harsh, too final. Could she truly guard her heart against a human when the universe itself seemed to conspire against her? They shared the same space often now, sometimes hours at a time, and their conversations drifted beyond duty. They spoke of home, of family, of dreams lost and dreams held on to. Elias told her of Earth's endless oceans, of mountains taller than any Valoran peak, of skies that blazed with color during sunset. Serenia told him of the crystal cities of Valora, of traditions older than the stars, and of the loneliness that came with being royal. In these quiet moments, a forbidden spark grew. Serenya's hands trembled slightly when she handed him a datapad. Elias's laugh, warm and steady, echoed through the hall, and she felt herself leaning closer without realizing. The council discovered one of their secret meetings. A noble had noticed the human in the library at an unusual hour and had reported it immediately. By morning, rumors spread through the palace faster than fire in dry grass. Some whispered about the human's bravery, others about the princess's strange fascination with him. Serenya felt the weight of every eye upon her. She moved through the corridors with her head high, hiding the storm within. Yet each glance at Elias made it harder to maintain the icy mask she had always worn. She had vowed never to love a human, but here in the quiet of the library beside a man who risked everything for truth, she felt the impossible tug at her heart. During a council meeting, her father, the emperor, addressed her sharply. "Princess, Serenya, reports reach my ears that you spend time with this human outside of duty. I remind you, any attachment to him is forbidden. Valora's honor is not negotiable." "Yes, father," she replied, her voice steady, though her heart quivered. She bowed, but her mind was racing. How could she obey a vow that felt so fragile? Now? How could she deny the pull that drew her to Elias? That evening, Serenya returned to the palace gardens. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting silver light over the fountains and flowers. Elias was already there, waiting. He did not speak immediately. Instead, he watched the reflection of the moons in the water. Finally, he turned to her. "Serenya, do you trust me?" Her throat tightened. Trust was dangerous. Desire was dangerous. Yet, in a whisper she could barely control, she said, "I do." He smiled faintly. "Then let us uncover the truth together, even if it means facing the wrath of kings and councils." For the first time, she allowed herself to feel the spark she had fought to deny. The human beside her was no longer just a diplomat. He was courage embodied, honor made flesh, and she could not look away. They worked late into the night, discovering the threads of a conspiracy that reached into the highest levels of Valora's court. Every clue brought them closer, not just to the truth, but to each other. And in that closeness, Serenya realized the dangerous truth she had been avoiding. Desire could not be silenced, even by vows written in crystal halls before an entire empire. The night ended with them standing, side by side, staring at the moons. Serenya's heart beat fast, and Elias did not speak, only watched her with a look that promised understanding, loyalty, and something more. A connection neither of them could ignore. And for the first time in her life, the princess felt the impossible, the fire beneath the ice. The palace of Valora Prime was quieter than usual, but the air was heavy with tension. News of Princess Serenya's secret meetings with Commander Elias Kane had reached the ears of the council. Whispers ran through the crystal halls, sharp and cold, like wind through frozen towers. Nobles spoke in half words, their eyes darting to the princess, as if daring her to make a wrong move. Serenya moved with grace, her silver boots barely making a sound against the polished floor. Her mind raced. She had always known duty could be lonely, but now it felt like a cage. Every step toward Elias carried risk, not just for her but for him, and for the fragile alliance between Valora and Earth. The Emperor summoned her to the Crystal Spire, the tallest tower in the palace. Its halls gleamed with pale light, and the air was so cold it made her breath visible. She bowed before her father. "Serenya," he said, his voice low but commanding, "your association with the human threatens the stability of our empire. You have disobeyed tradition, and your actions are reckless." "I seek only the truth, father," Serenya replied, though her voice trembled slightly. "If someone within Valora seeks to sabotage our peace, I cannot stand idle." The Emperor's eyes softened just slightly. "Truth is not enough. Loyalty is required. You will remain under house arrest within the spire. No one shall see you without my permission. The human shall have no contact with you. Break this order, and you will face exile." Serenia nodded, hiding the storm inside. The chains of duty were heavier than she had imagined. Elias, meanwhile, had been summoned by the council. His room was guarded, every exit watched. The human diplomat's calm had not faltered, but he understood the gravity of his situation. One mistake could undo months of careful negotiation and potentially start a war. Kale, Serenia's loyal guard, delivered messages between them under the cover of night. They could only exchange small notes, hidden beneath library books or inside crystal vases. Yet even these tiny interactions carried enormous weight. Each word, each glance, was precious. One evening, Serenia held a small note in her hand. Her fingers trembled as she read Elias's message. "I will not abandon you. Trust in the truth, and we will find a way." Her heart leapt. She had always believed in duty above all else, but now she realized that courage and trust were part of it too. Still, she could not allow herself to show weakness. The council's eyes were everywhere. The palace itself felt like a prison. Days passed, and the investigation of the sabotage grew more urgent. Serenia and Elias had discovered evidence pointing to a secret faction within the council, nobles who feared peace with humans. They wanted conflict, not alliance. Elias whispered to her one night, his voice barely audible. "Serenia, the danger is greater than either of us imagined. They will stop at nothing to protect their power. We must act carefully." Serenia nodded. She could feel the weight of the empire pressing on her shoulders, yet beside him, she felt a spark of hope. The fire beneath her icy vow was growing. One evening, a loud alarm rang through the crystal spire. Serenia rushed to the balcony and saw a small fleet of rebel ships at the edge of Valoran space. The council's traitors had acted, launching an attack to destabilize the capital. "Father," she cried, "we must warn the fleet. They will destroy the city if we do not act." The Emperor's face was grim. "You cannot leave the spire, Serenia. This is a test of loyalty. If you defy me, it will be more than rebellion. It will be treason." Serenia's hands clenched. She understood the rules, yet the lives of countless citizens depended on action. She would not allow fear of punishment to paralyze her. But how? Could she act without breaking the chains of duty? In the shadows of the spire, Elias risked everything. Using secret passages known only to palace servants, he made his way to her chambers. Kyle, the palace of Valora Prime was a storm of whispers and suspicion. The council had convened in secret, their faces shadowed by the glow of crystal lamps. Every word spoken seemed to carry the weight of war. Princess Serenia sat quietly in her chambers, listening to the muffled voices beyond her door. She could feel the pulse of the empire in unrest, the tension between duty and desire tearing at her heart. Commander Elias Kane remained imprisoned within the palace, watched day and night by Valoran guards. Yet, despite his confinement, he remained calm. He refused to let fear control him, and even in the small space of his cell he thought only of Serenia, her courage, her intelligence, her unwavering commitment to truth, even in defiance of her father, had captured his respect, and in quiet moments, his heart. Serenia spent the morning pacing, her silver boots echoing softly against the crystal floor. The council had given her a cruel choice: prove loyalty to Valora by condemning Elias or risk losing her claim to the throne forever. The words seemed to burn her, yet the human had done nothing but protect the empire and her life. She thought of the night in the library, when they had studied together and shared small glimpses of their true selves. She remembered the warmth of his presence, the calm steadiness that had protected her during the Festival of Moons. Could she betray the man who had risked everything to save her? The answer was clear. She could not. By nightfall, Serenia made her decision. She moved silently through the palace corridors, her heart pounding. The cold walls of Valora Prime seemed to close in around her, but she pressed onward, her determination stronger than fear. Kyle, her loyal guard, met her in the shadows. "Princess," Kyle whispered, "are you certain?" "Yes," she said, firmly. "I will not abandon him. I will risk everything for the truth, and for what my heart knows is right. Together, they navigated secret passages, avoiding patrols and alarms. The spire's cold crystal corridors stretched endlessly, yet Serenia felt no hesitation. Every step carried the weight of her people, yet also the fire of a choice she would not regret. When they reached Elias's holding chamber, the human's eyes lit with relief. "Serenia," he breathed. "I feared." "Fear has no place here," she interrupted, smiling faintly. "We have work to do. Freedom is the first step." She unlocked the cell using her royal seal and gestured for him to follow. The two of them moved quickly, weaving through the labyrinth of crystal halls. Every shadow threatened discovery. Every whisper of guards' boots increased the risk. Yet their bond, forged in trust and danger, gave them courage. Finally, they reached the main gates of the palace. Outside, the twin moons cast a silver glow over the city, reflecting off the crystal towers. Freedom was within reach. But as they approached the gates, a shadow darkened the path ahead. Valoran warships descended from the sky, their weapons aimed directly at them. At the lead, the Emperor himself commanded the fleet. Serenia and Elias stopped, their escape cut off. The Emperor's voice boomed from a communicator, cold and commanding. "Serenia, step forward. Surrender the human or face exile from Valora and the loss of all claim to the throne." Serenia's heart raced, but she stood tall, her silver armor catching the moonlight. She stepped forward, raising her voice so all could hear. "Father, I choose neither fear nor silence. I choose truth. I choose what is right. Commander Kane has done nothing but protect Valora and her people. He will not be punished for loyalty and courage." A stunned silence fell over the palace and the city beyond. Guards lowered their weapons slightly, council members stared in disbelief, and even the Emperor's face betrayed surprise. Elias stepped, beside her calm and steadfast. "Your Majesty," he said respectfully, "the princess speaks for what is just. Peace is not achieved by fear, nor loyalty by blind obedience. Together, we can show Valora a stronger path." The Emperor's gaze softened, though his pride remained. For centuries, the Valoran throne had ruled with rigid tradition, but his daughter's courage, combined with the human's honor, challenged him in a way he could not ignore. Murmurs spread among the council, and soon nobles who had secretly hoped for change began to nod in agreement. Serenia realized that the impossible could happen. By standing firm, she had inspired others to consider truth over tradition, and in that moment she understood that her vow, never to love a human, was less important than the bond she had forged with Elias. The confrontation ended without bloodshed. The Emperor withdrew the threat of exile, though he made it clear that such defiance could not be repeated lightly. Serenia and Elias were allowed to remain together, though under careful watch. Their bond, however, was now recognized as a symbol, not just of love, but of courage, trust, and the potential for unity between humans and Valorans. That night, under the glow of the twin moons, Serenia and Elias stood together on a balcony, overlooking the city. The silver towers reflected in the waters below, and for the first time, the princess allowed herself to feel free. Not just in body, but in heart. "I never thought I could defy everything I was taught," she whispered. "You have more strength than you know," Elias replied. "Not just in courage, but in heart. You've changed the course of this empire tonight." Serenia smiled faintly, leaning slightly against him. "And yet, I still wonder how we will face tomorrow. The council will not forget this so easily." "Then, we face it together," he said, taking her hand gently. "No matter the challenge, no matter the risk, we face it together." And for the first time in her life, Princess Serenia felt the fire of a choice she had made with both courage and love. She had risked everything and found not only freedom, but a future with the human who had changed her world forever. The young stars above shimmered and the night air was filled with possibility. For the first time, the impossible did not seem so far away. The twin moons of Valora Prime shone brightly over the palace, their silver light reflecting off the crystal towers and illuminating the city below. For Princess Serenia, the night was both quiet and tense. Though she had chosen to free Commander Elias Kane and stand against her father's orders, the Empire itself still held its breath. Change was dangerous, and tradition was a strong chain. Yet the fire in her heart refused to die. Inside the crystal spire, the Emperor had summoned the council and the royal guards. Whispers filled the hall as the princess and the human commander were brought forward. Every noble's eyes were on them, curious, fearful, or angry. This was the moment that would decide not only the fate of the two of them, but the future of the Valoran Empire itself. Serenia stepped forward first, her silver armor gleaming in the soft light. She had rehearsed her words in her mind countless times, but now, standing before her father and the council, they felt both insufficient and powerful at once. She drew in a steady breath and raised her voice so all could hear. "Father, members of the council, I stand here not as a child, not as a pawn, but as Princess Serenia of Valora. I have risked everything because I believe in courage, truth, and the potential for unity. Commander Kane has done nothing but protect this empire and its people. He has earned trust, not condemnation." A murmur spread through the hall. Some nobles gasped, others whispered warnings to one another. Yet the Emperor's face remained impassive, his eyes fixed on his daughter with a mixture of pride and sternness. Elias stepped forward beside her. "Your Majesty," he said calmly, "I respect Valora's traditions, and I honor the throne. But we cannot allow fear, prejudice, or old grudges to guide the Empire. Courage, loyalty, and honesty must lead our choices, even if it challenges old rules. Princess Serenia has shown that humans and Valorans can stand together, not as enemies but as allies." The room fell into silence. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. For centuries, Valorans had ruled with strict adherence to tradition. Never had a princess challenged the Emperor's command so openly, let alone alongside a human. The Emperor rose, his tall frame casting a shadow across the hall. His voice, deep and commanding, echoed through the spire. "Serenia, you have defied me. You have broken a vow, risked your claim to the throne, and ignored the council's orders. And yet, you have also saved this empire from rebellion, from sabotage, from chaos." Serenia held her gaze. "Father, I did what I believed was right. I acted not out of desire alone, but because I could not let our people suffer under fear and deception. The truth matters more than tradition when lives are at stake." A silence fell again. For the first time in her life, Serenia saw uncertainty flicker in her father's eyes. His gaze shifted briefly to the gathered nobles, then back to her. "You have changed the course of this night," the Emperor said finally, "and perhaps the course of Valora itself." The council began to stir. Some members nodded slowly, their loyalty shifting in the face of undeniable courage. Others, though hesitant, realized the truth. This human had acted not out of selfishness, but out of honor. The whispers of dissent faded as unity and understanding began to bloom. Serenia turned to Elias, whose eyes met hers with unwavering support. In that moment, she felt an unspoken promise between them. They had faced impossible odds together, and together they had prevailed. "You have my respect, Commander Kane," the Emperor continued. "And while your presence challenges centuries of tradition, it also shows that courage and loyalty are universal." Elias bowed deeply. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only wish to serve Valora,